Eastern Shore. Try that.
And my first question, Dave, is: you remember what were your first thoughts when you read the Bones and All novel, for the first time, of course, and how difficult was it to adapt it for the film?
Well, my first thought when I read it was just that I had never read anything like it, and it was such a fascinating combination of genres to tell the story of a young woman coming into her identity. You know, it happens to be the identity of a cannibal, but that really already in the book seemed sort of secondary to just the idea that this is a young woman who is realizing the world is not going to greet her easily or happily, and may in fact insist that she exist outside of society.
Yes.
And there are lots of reasons people have that experience based on their gender orientation, their sexual orientation, race, where they sit in the economic ladder. There are all kinds of ways that we push people to the side, and this book felt like it sort of spoke to them all kind of metaphorically, and so I was really excited about it. My second thought was, this is a very insightful, observant, and vulnerable story about a young woman coming into her identity. And while I was very flattered to be given the book to consider to write, I wanted to make sure that the author and the originating producer, both women, were okay with a man trying to adapt this book. And they were. I mean, I'm very grateful to be sort of given the opportunity to do it. But, my own personal response to the book, which was as a gay kid growing up in the Midwest, worrying about my own future, that's one way you could interpret, it's one lens you could see this book through, but I don't think it's the most important one. And I wanted to make sure that I could talk to enough people, women in particular, women who had difficult relationships with their mothers, with their bodies, with their sort of friend groups, with society, with the idea of their future.
Wow, you did a great job. Thank you. So Taylor Russell does an amazing performance. She's fantastic. So what do you think is her best acting contribution in this film?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would have to say, and there could be particularly in a young actor, there could be an impulse to protect the character somehow, which I think is the biggest mistake. I mean, I think particularly in a film like this, where really you're meant to feel like you're observing them at their best and worst. You can't protect the character, and a lot of actors understand they can't judge the character, but I think it takes a special actor to know they shouldn't protect the character either. And so I think Taylor didn't. I think you see everything in Marin that is self-loathing and uncertain and vengeful, and a lot of unflattering moments in this film.
Yes.
But you feel that Marin is allowed to have all of those colors, and that Taylor isn't judging Marin, but more importantly, Marin isn't judging Marin. And I think that's really the key to this performance. That's why we know Marin won't become like Sully. She, as she says in the film, she wants to be a friend to herself. And I think she understands that, and the movie understands that. Means that part of it is you can't protect yourself in the ways that a lot of people try to. You have to really see yourself.
Yeah, I know. So, David, it's your third film with Luca Guadagnino. What's the best thing about working with him?
That we're friends. that it's, I suppose there's another version of this where he's my boss or something like that. But we're just buddies. We're friends. We've gone pretty deep together over the course of the films we've made. So there's no line between what's professional and what's personal anymore. And the chance to spend months at a time at his elbow, making something together. It's just, I feel like the luckiest person in the world to be able to do good, interesting work with friends.
Awesome. So my last question, David, is any particular sequence or moment that you enjoy the most in the film?
Yeah, I have a weird one, I have to say, which is it's just one line of dialogue and it's one word, but it's the moment when Lee and Marin are still getting to know one another, and they are going to sleep at Lee's aunt's house, and so it's empty because his aunt has passed away. and they come in and they're still sizing one another up and getting to know one another. And Lee explains this is his aunt's house. She's passed away. He lives across town, but he can't be seen in town. And he asks her, do you need to know why? And Taylor's reaction to that, the line in the script is just that she says no. But Taylor's delivery of that line is so masterful, because she says no in a way that makes it very clear that she is not going to ask him to reveal anything about himself that he doesn't want to reveal, which so beautifully sets up later in the film when she insists that he does that, when they're in Nebraska on the mountaintop.
Yes.
And the fact that she understood those two moments, had a relationship, and understood how to play both moments so beautifully. To me, that's my favorite moment in the film, because I love Marin so much for being so clear with somebody she doesn't know that she does not need anything he doesn't need to give her. Right? It's so small, I know, and it's an answer, but
it's perfect.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. David, can you invite to the audience in Latin America to watch the movie?
Yes, please watch the movie. I think this is a sort of film that is made for the audience because it trusts the audience. And I think when somebody says, I trust you, it's really, just give us a wave back and let us know we should. Let us know we should keep making movies like this. One way, the best way to do that is just vote with your wallet. I want to keep making movies like this.
Yes.
That trust the audience for the rest of my career, as long as I know the audience is out there for them. So let us know. We really want to know if this works for you.
Yes, and we need a lot of movies that like that. Thank you so much, David.
All I think is that